I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, in 1930. And my parents were from New Roads, Louisiana, and my grandparents were from New Roads, too. So I'm very Louisiana. People have to start working at an early age. I think that is what made the difference. I can't think of an age at which I did not have a job. I always had a job, but I always wanted to have a little money in my pockets. My brothers and sisters did not go to school as long as I did. However, my sister was the first to finish high school. That made a big difference. Neither one of my older brothers finished high school. They just went and worked. I attended school at McDonald 24 in all of my elementary school years. And after that, when my education really started, I went to Gilbert Academy. And Gilbert Academy was one of the best schools for black people in this town by far. It's an excellent high school. And it was located on St. Charles Avenue, which made a big difference. And we had the best high school principal in the town. And she was a very Mrs. Boyne, very militant. And she had an eye on civil rights. We got a pretty good education at Gilbert Academy. I'm still proud of that school. I graduated from Gilbert in 1947, and I ended up going into the service. I was in the Army for a few years, which was a very important part of my life. Truman had desegregated the Army, and so I got a better education in the Army than I did outside of the Army. And I never left the state of California, which was good, so I didn't go to Korea. Howard University had the best looking African-American girls in the country. And also had very serious teachers. And we had the best football team. I was the head trainer. People were very interested in that school because, it was expensive to go there. And, my mother, worked in the white folk kitchen, as I put it. And my daddy was a laborer, so $1 for them really counted. I didn't graduate from Howard because I became a merchant seaman. And I was more interested in that traveling than in making money. As a merchant seaman, I met people from throughout the world, which was a really, really good experience. My first experience in civil rights was at Dillard. As a matter of fact, as I recall now, I was chairman of the organizing committee when we started, talking about organizing for civil rights. I always enjoyed Howard, but Dillard, the big thing at Dillard was that I could live with my parents, which means I didn't have to pay tuition, or I didn't have to pay room and board. And Gilbert was really an excellent educational experience. Lola had started admitting African Americans, and some of the people who I went to law school with, I remembered. I think the best remembered person is Marcel Garceau, and then there was Eugene Muret, and there was Elaine Chauvin. She may have been the only lady in my law school class. Nils Douglas and I, we became law partners. We were the only 2 African Americans in my class. I represented the sitting demonstrators like Loretta Castle Hill and Rudy Lombard. They were very active. And, so I was kind of like following those students, I was following their lead. I was always impressed with militant people, and that helped me to understand the civil rights movement and which is what got me involved in civil rights. I mean, that wasn't very popular to represent sit-in demonstrators. The person that we got to talk, if we talk about voter registration, we have to talk about Aretha Castle Elie. She led the early voter registration drives. And you know, this was like learning about civil rights and learning about the importance of voter registration. All of those things were major parts of our education. The most outstanding person was Skelly Wright by far. He was very important. Skelly Wright issued a decision having to do with the desegregation of some schools. And that put him way ahead of his fellow judges. He was much more of an integrationist than any of his underlings. I mean, they wanted to ride him. As a matter of fact, they kicked him out of Louisiana. He went to D.C. I had a lot of respect for Mr. Thoreau because Mr. Thoreau was probably out there by himself. You had very few African-American lawyers in the city and very few who were going anywhere near civil rights. And that's a good place to lose your law license. I was one of the lawyers for C.O.R.E, Congress of Racial Equality, at that time. And I did not consider myself to be a militant student, but we had militant students. When we met with Robert Kennedy, we had some very militant students, so much that at one point people thought that they were going to start a fight with Robert Kennedy. No one was all that impressed with Robert Kennedy at the time. Freedom Riders, that was a major step in the civil rights movement. The Freedom Riders consisted mostly of students, and very militant students. And there were students who were willing to take risk. And the students involved in that part of the movement were much more militant than the average student in college. The Consumers League had to do with a selective buying campaign. That we started that by saying, don't buy where you can't work. So the Consumers League was a very important group of people who they were the elderly crowd in the civil rights movement, and not all that militant at all. I was deeply involved with Moon Landrieu, and especially in my job was to figure out where black people could get jobs in city government, and that's where Moon and I became and remained really close friends, having to do with the desegregation of many parts of city government. Moon deserves a lot of credit for that. Law school was very scary for me initially. But I saw law as a ticket to some better things, and I've not been disappointed in that. Without bragging, I was a very outstanding student in law school, and the practice of law was kind of funny. Because first of all, there were fewer than a half dozen black lawyers in the city. And there wasn't enough work for those few. That was the most challenging thing, was getting a job or getting clients. That was a real challenge. Civil rights involvement, which was the best part of my life, and it made a very, very elephant-sized difference in the educational system for African Americans in this state. I got a lot out of that.